Next we get the burden on Arabia. In the forest of Arabia shall ye lodge, O ye traveling companies of Dedanim. Dedan, of course, is one of the tribes. The Dedanim, being plural, would be the peoples of the tribe of Dedan. Now, Saudi Arabia was originally made up of two major tribal families, those of Sheba and those of Dedan. So when you move into the book of Ezekiel and you read the prophecies in Ezekiel of the coming invasion of Israel by Russia with her allies, it is important to note that though Iran does come with Russia in the invasion of Israel, Saudi Arabia does not. So evidently, right now, and to me this is very important, because one of the major concerns of our government today is the oil supply that comes to the United States from Saudi Arabia. We are dependent upon those oil supplies for our whole industry, economy, and everything else. And so there's quite a bit to do right now in government circles on how much aid, military aid, we should give to Saudi Arabia. The F-15, shall we equip them, 2,000 TOW missiles for anti-tank missiles and so forth. And every time we speak of aiding Saudi Arabia, Israel begins to lobby, because Israel is fearful that these weapons that we are giving to Saudi Arabia could very well be used against Israel. And thus, they seek to lobby against any aid that we might be giving to Saudi Arabia. But there's concern, great concern, that Russia may seek to move into Saudi Arabia to take those oil supplies and thus to cut us off from our much-needed oil that we get from Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Russia does not take Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is not, in fact, they are listed as not being with Russia in Russia's invasion of Israel, and so Israel really doesn't need to worry about an invasion from Saudi Arabia, from the Scriptures. In fact, Saudi Arabia is listed with those nations of which the United States is perhaps one, because it speaks of the merchants of Tarshish, which are thought to be England, and the young lions thereof. Now, the United States could conceivably be a young lion from England, break off from England, and one of the young lions, Canada, Australia. They say unto Russia, what are you doing invading this little land of Israel? That isn't fair, that isn't right. But Saudi Arabia joins with the objection with the United States and with England and the break-off nations of England. So, as we look at the major decisions that are being made today in the State Department and in our government that are dealing with these very issues and these very nations that have been predicted in the Bible, having a biblical background helps tremendously. God has told us in advance of the situations that will be existing today. So if Israel would read the Bible, they'd realize they have no fears of Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia will take up their part when Russia invades. Russia is the thing that they need to be concerned about, not Saudi Arabia. Iran, yes. Now, at this particular time, Israel is not so worried about Iran. In fact, people have wondered how Iran was able to keep these Phantom jets going. Because when they kicked out the United States, they didn't have any more spare parts. And with this hostage situation and all, Iraq was surprised that they thought that Iran would crumble. That they would soon no longer be able to fly the Phantoms, because they didn't have the technicians to keep them in repair. They didn't have the spare parts to repair them. And they figured the Iranian Air Force would be put out of commission very quickly, and that they would then be able to just control the whole thing. What is happening, and what most people don't know, what is happening is that Israel is repairing. They're flying these jets to Israel. Israel is repairing all these Phantoms for them. So there is an underground kind of an alliance still between Iran. Israel feels a debt to Iran because during all of the oil crisis and so forth, they supplied Israel with all of their oil needs. Now Israel is trading off the repair of the jets and all for oil needs and all. But Israel is keeping the Iranian Air Force going. And some of the Israeli officers were sharing that with me when we were over in Israel this last time. How that they're flying these jets in and out from Iran almost every day, and they're keeping them. And that's been the big surprise of the war, is how the Iranian Air Force can keep going. And that's how they're doing. And I trust I'm not revealing any great military secrets and get in trouble for it, but that's what's happening. Now, Israel, though still underground, is friendly toward Iran. If they would only read the Bible, they would realize that Iran is the one to watch, not Saudi Arabia. That in the end, when the conflict comes, Saudi Arabia will join in the protest, not in the fighting, just in the protest of Russia's invasion of Israel. So the fact that these things are all moving in that direction right now makes, of course, the Bible extremely relevant to our own world in which we live, and the current decisions that are being made by the State Department and all of those guys, that deal with world strategy. How much support shall we give to Saudi Arabia? And all of this, and yet the Bible lays out the whole story of the future.